In a bustling suburb of Lagos, Nigeria, there lived a vibrant young woman named Nkairu. At 30 years old, Nkairu was known for her warmth and charm, a beloved member of her community. She had been married for 5 years to Emeka, her hardworking and kind-hearted husband, and together they had been eagerly awaiting the arrival of their first child. Nkairu's pregnancy was celebrated with joy. After years of trying, the couple's prayers had finally been answered. Her prenatal visits were frequent, and the scans confirmed they were expecting a baby girl. The couple decided to name her Amarachi, meaning God's grace. They prepared a nursery filled with pink decorations and baby clothes, and her in-laws, particularly Emeka's mother, Mama Chinye, couldn't stop singing praises about the new blessing coming to the family. On a humid Wednesday morning, Nkairu woke up with contractions. Emeka rushed her to a private hospital in Suralere, where the doctors assured them everything was on track for a smooth delivery. After hours of labor, Nkairu finally gave birth. But instead of the cries of a newborn baby filling the room, a stunned silence took over. The midwife, wide-eyed and trembling, held up the child, or rather, what was supposed to be the child. It wasn't a baby. In her hands was a large, squirming rat. Nkairu fainted instantly. Emeka, who had been pacing anxiously outside the delivery room, rushed in when he heard the commotion. He froze in the doorway, his face contorted in disbelief. What is that?" he stammered, pointing at the rat. The doctors and nurses stood in stunned silence. No one had an answer. "This is impossible," whispered the obstetrician. The scans showed a perfectly healthy baby girl. The rat was quickly removed from the room, and Nkairu was stabilized. When she regained consciousness, she broke down in tears. "Where is my baby?" she cried, her voice trembling. The hospital staff could offer no explanation. The scans, medical records, and prenatal tests were rechecked, and they all pointed to a human pregnancy. How a rat had appeared instead of a baby remained an enigma. News of the bizarre event spread like wildfire. By the time Nkairu returned home from the hospital, the entire neighborhood was buzzing with gossip. Some whispered that it was a medical anomaly, but others were less kind. Mama Chinye, who had initially showered Nkairu with love, now looked at her with suspicion. "What kind of woman gives birth to a rat?" she muttered under her breath. "This is not normal. It's witchcraft." Emeka, torn between his love for Nkairu and the mounting pressure from his family, struggled to process the situation. He avoided looking at his wife and barely spoke to her. His silence was more painful than words. Within days, rumors took a darker turn. Nkairu was labeled a witch. Neighbors avoided her, crossing the street whenever they saw her approaching. Children whispered stories about the rat woman and pointed at her house in fear. Mama Chinye became one of her most vocal accusers. "This woman has brought shame to our family," she declared to anyone who would listen. "She is cursed. She must have done something evil to deserve this." In Lagos, where traditional beliefs often intertwine with modern life, many people were quick to accept supernatural explanations. Nkairu's close friends abandoned her, afraid of being associated with the scandal. Even her church, which had once been a source of comfort, began to distance itself from her. Emeka's heart was heavy with conflict. He loved his wife, but the pressure from his family and the community was unbearable. His mother urged him to leave Nkairu. "You need to send her back to her people," she insisted. "What if this curse spreads to the rest of us?" Emeka tried to defend Nkairu, but doubts began to creep into his mind. Could there be truth to the accusations? Why had this happened to them? One evening, after yet another heated argument with his mother, Emeka packed a bag and left the house without saying a word. Nkairu was devastated. Alone and ostracized, she turned to prayer, pleading with God to reveal the truth and restore her life. Weeks later, an unexpected visitor arrived at Nkairu's home. It was an elderly woman from her husband's extended family, Mama Ijeoma. She listened quietly as Nkairu recounted her ordeal and then said, "My daughter, this is not your doing. There is more to this story." With Mama Ijeoma's help, Nkairu sought the advice of a traditional healer. After a lengthy ritual, the healer revealed that someone close to the family had placed a curse on Nkairu out of jealousy. The healer refused to name the culprit but offered a cleansing ritual to break the spell. Following the ritual, Nkairu began to experience unusual symptoms. She returned to the hospital, where the doctors conducted tests and discovered something astonishing: she was pregnant again. This time, there were no anomalies in her scans. 9 months later, Nkairu gave birth to a healthy baby girl. The birth was celebrated as a miracle, and Emeka, who had been staying with relatives, returned home in tears. "I'm so sorry, Nkairu," he said, holding her and their daughter. "I should have stood by you." Even Mama Chinye, who had been one of her fiercest critics, softened her stance. "God has forgiven you," she said, though her words were laced with lingering doubt. Though Nkairu's life gradually returned to normal, the story of her first child became an urban legend in Lagos. Some continued to believe it was witchcraft, while others saw it as proof of the power of faith and resilience. For Nkairu, the experience left deep scars but also taught her the importance of self-belief and forgiveness. Despite the pain and humiliation, she chose to rise above the rumors, focusing on the joy her daughter brought into her life. In the end, the woman who gave birth to a rat became a symbol of endurance, her story a cautionary tale about the dangers of envy, the resilience of the human spirit, and the complex interplay of science and tradition in the face of the unexplainable.